for the unending conflict along the Kenya and Ethiopian border in Marsabit County is a scramble for pasture, water and market for livestock. It is for this reason that the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, has set up 2 livestock markets along the border to promote a peaceful coexistence. The markets set up in Sololo and Magado in the Oromia region of Ethiopia are expected to serve tens of thousands of residents. Our reporter Ibrahim Karanja is attending the launch of the market at Sololo and now joins us live for an update. Karanja, good morning. Talk to us more about the benefits of this market for the residents there.
Well, good morning, Michelle. The benefits of this particular market to the residents of this area and the larger Marsabit County is, of course, owed to the fact that there has been a long-lasting conflict amongst not only communities within the Kenyan borders, but also cross-border conflict. Communities from across the border, that is Ethiopia and Kenya, who have been conflicting, and the major reason being, like you have mentioned earlier, the scramble for pasture, water, and means of making their livestock survive. We are in Sololo sub-county. This is one of the sub-counties in Moyale constituency along the Kenyan-Ethiopian border. Right about 3 kilometers or 4 kilometers from where I am is a hill that separates Kenya and Ethiopia. The face of the hills that can be seen behind me are in Kenya, and the other side of the hills in Ethiopia. And currently, as we speak, the state on the other side of the border, on the Ethiopian side, is not so safe, is not so secure as per reports that we have been getting from the residents here. But that is why the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, especially through C1, that is conflict early warning and response mechanism, that decided to come up and partner with the residents of this particular area and see whether launching a livestock market will actually help in reducing the conflicts in this particular area and also try to bring the communities together. Remember, Marsabit County has for so long been affected by conflicts, intercommunity. We are talking about a county that is predominantly or majorly 2 tribes, the Gabra and Borana, much as there are other communities, and the 2 communities have been in conflict for a very, very long time, and that's why the officials here have decided perhaps to partner with the community and see whether they can come up with this particular market and see whether they'll come up with solutions to this conflict. Now, joining me right now to talk more about the conflict in this area and perhaps the measures taken to ensure there is peace are 2 officials from the national government and perhaps one from IGAD, who will be telling us more on the reasons why they decided to partner and the reasons why they are setting up one market here in Kenya and the other one on the Ethiopian side. Now, I'm joined by Mr. Peter Thuku, who is the Secretary. Kindly come closer, sir. He is the Secretary, Peace Building and Disaster Response in the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government. Peter is actually in charge of peace in this particular area and in the larger parts of the country. So, Peter, thank you so much for joining us. You're live on KTN News. Let's start with the history of conflicts in this particular area. Perhaps, when did it start? When did the rain start beating Kenyans and Ethiopians from the other side of the border? And perhaps, what do you think are the possible solutions?
Thank you very much. I think conflicts in this area have been perpetual. We have been having conflicts lately between Boranas and Gabras. We have also been having conflict across the border between Ethiopia and Kenya. The communities cross from each other to the other side of the border. And there are Boranas and Gabra and Burgis. They live across Ethiopia. They also live across Kenya, in this area of Sororo and also Moyale. Yes.
Now, from the national government, being that you're from the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government, perhaps what measures before now thinking of involving the community in restoring peace and bringing a peaceful cohesion in this particular area, what were the actions that perhaps were being taken before, say, were there actions that did not involve the community, and could we perhaps say that is what has led to a long-term feud?
Okay. Of course, the government has secured this place. We have brought enough security personnel. We have police station here in Soloro. We have an OSPD in Soloro. We have a deputy county commissioner here. We have also established a KDF platoon in Moyale. But the purpose was this, of course, is to secure our area. But we found it is better to utilize both communities from the either side because of the bilateral agreement between our president and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia to ensure that at one border stop point, communities can be able to thrive together, live and coexist with peace. Therefore, this project came to enhance what the government has done. You have seen the government has put up a very infrastructures in this area. The tarmacking of this road all the way from Isiolo to Moyale to join Ethiopia. And also you have seen it has also joined this part of Soloro. We have also put other infrastructure like other facilities. The government have also utilized what is called peace committees in this area, the village elders and New Bakumi initiatives. And these people have been used to enhance what the government has put in place. Because security itself, installation of police, the KDF is not enough. We want the people themselves to participate and ensure that they are engaged in issues of peace and security. Therefore, that's the reason some of the infrastructure the government has put in place. And it is to ensure what the government has put in place is maintained. Yes, please.
Now, we realize that coming from the border, this is a very interesting point in that in case there is aggression from the other side of the border, that is the Ethiopian side, it may really be a bit challenging for the Ministry of Interior to handle it, of course, given also the matters diplomacy, the relations between Kenya and Ethiopia. Perhaps aside from now having the police and aside from this which is now coming up, I understand the market has been on since 2005, but it's now going to be more actively involving the community. But aside from that, perhaps have there been any other way of trying to bring the communities together, ensuring that there is no aggression of either countries?
The formation, of course, of IGAD, which Kenya and Ethiopia are EU member states. The establishment of one border stop point, which people can cross from either side of the country. They can come from Ethiopia, they can come from Kenya, is one of the ways the government has put in place to ensure people from both Ethiopia and Kenya, they exist peacefully. And therefore, those two establishments are very, very important. And because we have been led by our president and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, they have shown us that our people can coexist because we have Boranas from this side, we have Boranas from Ethiopia. We have Gabra from this side, we have Gabra from the other side. And therefore, we believe this type of relationship must be enhanced by ensuring that the people crisscross from each country to the other.
Thank you so much, Thuku, for speaking to us on KTN News. But let me bring in the director, C1, that is Kamla Somogo. Sir, there has been that aspect of you having field officers in this particular area. They have been here for quite some time. Perhaps what are some of the things they have identified as being the facts that the problem that ails this particular area in terms of early warning of conflicts and also response mechanism?
Thank you so much for having us. I think, as you said, C1, which is one of the IGAD's specialized institution, basically established to address issues of conflict early warning and response aspect of the conflict. We've been in operation and we've had what we call the field monitors on the ground since founding in 2002. And then from the information that we keep getting is, of course, as Peter said, about the conflicts that are happening in the area. So these field monitors have been collecting information that, of course, is of conflict early warning nature, but there are also aspects of livelihood concerns of the people, the whole idea of communities not being cohesive enough. So we've been able to pick this. And of course, the whole idea of the market was that actually by the time we were conceiving this market was that because the mainstay of these communities is livestock, and they didn't have a proper facility like a market to be able to trade their animals. So they would travel for a long distance from here, for example, up to Moyale and from the other side of Ethiopia also. So then we thought that it would be good that we support the community with this kind of an infrastructure so that they can be able to actually enhance their livelihood, and in so doing also to strengthen the connection between the communities. And so with the support of USAID, East Africa and Kenya, we got a grant that has been able to help us establish this facility, and we are very happy that actually today we are handing it over to the community, because the idea is that this is actually a community infrastructure They sat together, they identified the need, and they said for us to address the need, this is what we need. And therefore we looked for resources and we supported them.
You may want to perhaps describe to our viewers on KTN News what kind of facility we are handing over to the community, because after that there will be the question of management after the handing over today. So perhaps you may start by describing the kind of facility. What is here? What different or how different is it from what they had before?
As I said, they were looking for a place to trade the animals. And so the facility actually is Sololo livestock market. And so basically it's to support them in terms of the trade in their livestock. You can see, for example, we have the loading ramp there, and of course we just installed the water here so the animals can come and be able to drink water. And from the information we have is that this market actually is being used far and beyond. So for example, donkeys or other animals coming from the Ethiopian side, which are now being transported to the hinterland of the country. And so the community themselves felt that they needed this kind of infrastructure. Now, from where we come, as I said, C1 is more of a early warning and early response. We are coming from an angle of trying to prevent violence coming from this kind of livestock and then the communities not being together. And so this is what we are calling one of the peace dividend projects. And as a peace dividend project, what we mean is that the community have already agreed to stay peaceful. And this is like an outcome of that peace. So we want to see this market as an outcome of a peaceful coexistence. And as Peter said, you will realize actually the conflict that used to be in this area was more intense. Of course, we know there are still elements of conflicts happening, but it's not as intense. So this market is one of those deliverables that we are putting in place to make the communities cohesive. So with this market, we are looking at, as I said, the peace dividend. We are looking at enhancing the livelihood of the community, which is mainly on livestock. We've put in place the stalls that would also support women, because really it's a communal thing. So then women, I think there are about 20, I think it should be about 20 stalls. So about 20 or so women would be trading here, so that when the livestock sellers are around, of course they will also be selling their things. We're also thinking of any other way of also engaging the youth. The third thing about this market is that it's a connector. A connector in the sense that it connects not only the communities that are on the Kenyan side, but also on the Ethiopian side of the border. And just to mention that actually it's not the only market. There are actually two markets that we are building with, of course, the support from USAID. On what we are calling the Magado side, which brings together the corridor of Dukana and Dire, Wareda in the Ethiopia and Dukana in the Kenya, and this one is Moyale and Dilo and Mio, Waredas. So it's a connector, because the whole idea is that our assumption is when people don't interact, you will never know what is happening. So when people are interacting, they come to the market, they interact. Of course, we are preventing conflict.
Allow me to cut you short for a very brief question, and perhaps you may want to tell us, and very briefly, what is the level of engagement? Because I understand before this launch there were sittings or sit-downs with the community. What is the level of engagement that you've had so far? Perhaps how long have you been together? And involvement in terms of all ages, youth and the elderly. What is the level of engagement so far?
As I said, this is a community project. And so like today, what we are talking about handing over is handing the market to the community, and also handing over the market, of course, to the county administration. So we have put in place what the market association. And this market association brings together different age groups. There are the elders, there are women, there are the youth. And so the whole idea is to bring all of them together. And we have, of course, conducted even training on conflict prevention for them, so that they are able to actually steer this market going forward. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Of course, we will continue this conversation in our subsequent bulletins. But as of now, Michelle, you've had a brief about this particular market, this particular project that is happening on the Kenyan side. This is Sololo sub-county or in Marsabit County, and also on the other side, Magado area in Ethiopia, just to foster peace amongst the communities. You have heard from C1, that is conflict early warning and response mechanism, saying that this is an initiative that has come from the community themselves, that they find that livestock is the reason as to why there has been lots of conflicts in this particular area, and that is why they sought to have a solution revolving around livestock and livestock market. That is what we have from here right now. But of course, in our subsequent bulletins, we'll engage other officials because it is an initiative that has involved lots of people, including members of the community, whom we'll be speaking to after this particular interview later on. Michelle, back to you.
All right, that is Ibrahim Karanja live for us from the Sololo market, which will be launched by IGAD today to tame conflicts between the two communities along the Kenya-Ethiopia border. We take a short break now on News Center, but do stay with us. When we come back, we'll be taking you live to Kisumu. Our reporter Kevin Ogutu is on standby with an update on the expansion of the Kisumu port. That and so much more coming up on the other side of the break.